Project L is the League of Legends fighting game currently in development, which was announced last year. The game was announced alongside a handful of other games from the giant developer Riot Games, responsible for League of Legends, at their 10th anniversary event. Now, before we continue on this video, I'd like to ask you to subscribe if you're not already. It helps out the channel a bunch, and I'm going to be doing a lot of Project L stuff as soon as we get more information about the game. So if you're looking forward to Project L, you can expect the latest information right here on youtube.com/Bilbzy. With that said, of all of these games that's been announced, 2 of them have already released, because all of these games have been in development for a very long time. The full list of games were as followed. Project F, which appears to be an action RPG / MMO thing, kind of like a Diablo. Project A, which turned out to be Valorant. Wild Rift, which is the League of Legends mobile game. Legends of Runeterra, a card game based in the world of League of Legends. And Project L, the fighting game. The 2 games that have been released were the card game, Legends of Runeterra, and the shooting game, the FPS game, Valorant. I'm excited about each of these games on varying levels, but it should be no surprise to any of my viewers that I'm most excited about Project L, the fighting game. Tom Cannon was featured on that 10-year anniversary broadcast, and to my knowledge, he's the lead designer on Project L. In that broadcast, he specifically mentioned that the team will be going dark for a while, meaning we shouldn't be expecting news anytime soon. Well, he was certainly right to mention that, because it's been 292 days since the original announcement without any official word about the game. The key word is official. There has actually been a couple things we've managed to figure out about the game ever since, but because it's been such a long time since I last talked about the game in a speculative manner, let's start thinking about when we can expect to hear more from Tom about this project. So far, Riot has been focusing on one of those announced games from their 10-year anniversary event at a time. After that event, they focused all of their news-related stuff on Legends of Runeterra, the card game, until of course that card game came out. Now the card game exists, there's events still going on, and it's being supported very heavily, and to my knowledge it's doing quite well. After that, all of the news was focused on Valorant. That game is doing incredibly well, far better than I think most people expected it to, and it's a really fun game. If you've got a chance, try out Valorant. Now that that game is out, the focus appears to be on the mobile version of League of Legends, Wild Rift. So the question is, once Wild Rift is actually out, what will they focus on? Well, as far as first-party games are concerned, we only know of 2 more games that Riot is working on: Project F, the action RPG, and Project L, the fighting game. There were 100 days between the release of Legends of Runeterra and the anniversary event. There were then 130 days between Legends of Runeterra's release and the release of Valorant, which means in conclusion, it takes about a quarter of a year for Riot to go through one of these announcements / release schedules. It is worth noting that according to the Valorant team director, Joe Ziegler is going to be how I choose to pronounce that. I apologize if I butchered that name. Valorant apparently managed to go live a couple months before they initially planned, so we might be talking about a 1 or 2 month margin of error here when I talk about these dates, and I apologize for that. With that in mind, it's only been about 70 days since the release of Valorant, so I'm expecting Wild Rift to come out pretty soon. Wild Rift is of course the game that Riot is focused on right now. When I say focused on, of course they're focused on all of their games because they've got different people working on each of their games. What I mean by focused is news about their new games will be about Wild Rift, not about anything else. Just based on the way that these schedules have been lining up so far, I'm expecting Wild Rift to drop sometime around October. It might be November or September, but you know, around that window. People who follow the game much closer than I do have been expecting the beta to drop sometime this month or next month, which kind of lines up with the calculated estimates that I'm going for here. So the question is, which game will we hear about after the release of the mobile game Wild Rift? Will we hear about Project L, the fighting game, or Project F, the action RPG? And honestly, we just don't have much insight on this specific question. When Valorant initially launched, I was involved in a conversation with Tom Cannon on Twitter himself, and I ended up asking him when we could expect to hear more about Project L, and we actually got a response out of him. Unfortunately, it's pretty vague, and again, it was over 70 days ago now that this happened, so there's a chance that this means nothing. But he said, "We are far away from any Project L announcement. Far. We're working hard to get it right. That takes time. Appreciate the support. Please be patient with us." It's hard to say what far means because far is like one of those words that can mean a lot of things. My fridge is really far away from my room, but the United States is even further away from my room. You know what I mean? Like far can mean a lot of things contextually. When he's saying far, he might be saying, well, don't expect an announcement in the next couple months because Riot's going to be focusing on Wild Rift. He also might be meaning, don't expect any Project L announcements anytime soon because we're not announcing it until 2027. Unfortunately, far is just not a good enough term to give us any idea of what he means here. That's not by any fault of his own, but he can't be any more transparent than that without like leaking stuff. So fair enough. As much as it pains me to say it, I do think that the action RPG is probably likely going to be the next thing that Riot focuses on rather than the fighting game, which we all know is what I would like to hear about. It doesn't mean we actually haven't managed to find out a little bit of news about the game regardless. Somebody on the Project L Reddit noticed a Twitch channel that got verified without any followers. That's actually really hard to do on twitch.tv, and the Twitch account was called Rising Legends, and that might end up being the name of Project L. There's a couple reasons to assume that. Of course, the account is verified, so it's something important. It doesn't necessarily have to have a connection with Riot, but this very well could be the fighting game. After all, League of Legends plus Rising Thunder equals Rising Legends, right? So maybe that makes sense for what they're going for here. It's a long shot, but it could very well be the name of the game, so I thought I'd mention it in this video. If that does end up being true though, it might be used as good evidence to suggest that Project L will be announced as like the next thing from Riot, as opposed to the action RPG, because if they already have the Twitch channel, the verified version of the Twitch channel, maybe they're gearing up to do something with it. We've also got some potential soft leaks. No leaks or directly confirmed information, but we do have some information suggesting that characters might make their way into the game. Obviously, we already know about Jinx, Katarina, Darius, and Ahri, who have been confirmed directly by released footage. But on top of that, the development team took a photo in their office. I'm imagining that this was a while ago. It was recently used in their hiring material. That's right, Riot Games is currently hiring people right now to work on this project. So if you have the credentials and you're interested in working on the future of fighting games, might be time to reach out to Riot Games. Anyway, from this image, we can see that they're posing behind a wall, and that wall has artwork of Vi on it. This is never seen before artwork, so perhaps this is artwork that's going to be used for the game, and perhaps that suggests that, of course, a fan favorite character like Vi would be joining the roster. On top of that, over on Reset Era, a website pretty notoriously known for leaks, Nocturne's voice actor seems to be suggesting that he has already done voice work for the game, which might imply that we're getting Nocturne as a playable character. There was also alpha footage of Rising Thunder, the game that was originally in development before they got bought out and shipped over to Riot Games, where we can see that Lucian and Garen icons were used as placeholders when they were initially designing the game. Now, I don't think that that means anything for Project L, because this was footage from 2015. As much as I would like to say that Lucian and Garen are going to be in the game, I can't say that with any evidence, but just for fun, let's throw them onto the list. Meaning right now, the confirmed characters we have are Jinx, Ahri, Darius, and Katarina, with 4 soft leaks of characters: Vi, Nocturne, Garen, and Lucian, with the Garen and Lucian leaks being far less substantial than the Nocturne and Vi leaks. So in conclusion, don't expect any additional information about Project L, at least until the 4th quarter of 2020, or at the very least, the 1st quarter of 2021. But really, when you lay it out, that's not too far away. I love the world of League of Legends. I love the design team that's working on this game. Everybody on this project seems to be some pretty awesome people, and I'm excited to see what they have in store for us. If you're excited about what Project L is going to become, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be covering a lot of stuff Project L related as soon as we get any information about it. Another thing you might want to do is head over to the Project L Reddit. There's constantly new stuff being posted on there by some pretty awesome people. They love the conversation over there, so don't feel shy. And if you're excited to see what the game might play like, you might want to try out Rising Thunder. There's currently a free version of Rising Thunder available. It's the community edition, so you can play with friends and stuff. But even if you don't intend to play with any friends or get super into it, you might want to just try it out just to see what the game's like. Try out training mode, see what you can do, and it might give you some better insight as to what to expect from Project L. My name has been Bilbzy. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you are new around here, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be sure to see you in the next one.